Hello, this is Annette with Project Refine Life. Welcome to my channel and the December 2023 monthly wrap-up. So I brought out all of my journals for the year, but we're going to focus for now on the December journal. And we're going to talk about some of the things that I did throughout my journal and throughout my month, and how I've kind of changed what I've done in December within my journal. Now, this is my journal from October through December, and as you can see, December pretty much takes up half of my journal. It was fun, but I don't know if I can keep that up each and every month. But in all fairness, my daughters had 2 weeks off, and we were at home a lot because my youngest daughter and I were a little sick. So that gave me some extra time to kind of work within my journal, and I would stay up late as well working on my journal because I was really having a fantastic time. Coming into the month, one of the things that I've been doing is including more of my ritualistic life as well. So I have been including my Cacao invocation for the month to start my month off. And I always just scour the internet to look for images because I am no artist, and there are so many images on the internet. Usually I will just get one, maybe color it a little bit and paste it in here. I try to always include the Mayan calendar, so that way I have a quick reference for the month. I'll put like a little saying or something that I found online, or sometimes it's something that I myself kind of came up with, and I just like the way that it looks better when it's written within the computer and typed and printed out. I did include a lot of these little florals and things like that, like journal kits. I found some on Etsy, and I really like her site. I've used some of her work before, so I'll include her website or her Etsy site down below. Here's a list of all the decks that I used, and I used a lot of decks this month. Too many for me to share with you guys. So what I'm going to be sharing with you this month are the decks or the pairings that I really loved, along with my new moon and my full moon. Decks and tools, if you want to see a full breakdown of that, I'll go ahead and include the link for my December deck and book haul for you. Let's see, books. As far as reading books, I didn't read any particular book throughout the month. Like, I didn't complete anything. I kind of skipped around a little bit, so it wasn't even worth noting. But, you know, sometimes that's just the way it was. I was really not able to focus very well in December. I wasn't really even in a very festive mood. I don't know why. But anywho, I've also been including within my journal, anytime we go into what's called a trecena, a new group of 13 days where you go through the Mayan calendar, I've been including like the first lead or the first day of that trecena, and really getting into how the overall energy of that trecena will kind of play into the next 13 days, just so I have an idea or things to be aware of, not necessarily in a way where I'm foretelling what's going to happen, but just things to help me be aware of. So I guess it would be kind of similar to like a weekly reading or a week ahead reading, but I'm not doing that. I'm just really focusing on the energy and then looking for information and adding information to my book. And I've really enjoyed doing this, and working with that energy has been really, really cool. There was a few new decks in this month, so I just played a lot with Circle of Doors, because that is a deck that really came in and kind of rocked my world. I really love this. Now, I went into a whole study of what we know as poinsettia, and as we can see, it's crossed out here because I got into the Mesoamerican or the true name of the plant and what the healing properties are, and how it's been shifted and changed since it was brought over to the States, and just how they've changed the components of the plants entirely. Again, sometimes I was really called to really work into that particular energy of the day. So sometimes, like this day here, December the 10th, I went ahead and just really worked into the ancestral connection for me when it came to the energy of the day, and did my drawing of my cards based on that. And that's always kind of what I do anyway. I really do work with the energy of the day. And then from there, kind of take that as, okay, how do I work with this energy? What do I need to look out for? So I pull an oracle deck and then a tarot deck to kind of help navigate my way through the day. And that's pretty much what I do. And then also in December, of course, there's always this feeling, for me at least, of working with the Virgen de Guadalupe. So during this time, again, I really wanted to come back to my Mesoamerican roots and really include something within my daily journal that talks about the Mesoamerican roots of the Virgen de Guadalupe, and going into all the different aspects of that deity. And so as you can see, I kind of went on and on and on, but I really enjoy doing this. This was from Etsy, and I'll include her link as well. But it was a beautiful prayer to Tonatatzin, and it was just, I really loved it. So it was a really nice way for me to add to my prayers and my worshiping, and also just being within that energy as well. So again, I continued my work with Mysteries of Mary and the Mysteries of the Black Madonna. I was using the goddesses, oh, I can't remember the name, but everything will be below. And then also, oh my goodness, I think it's saints and something or other. Everything will be below. I cannot remember the names of everything at the moment, but Sagittarius new moon ritual. I have been getting my, all of these things here. I've been getting a lot of this stuff, or most of it rather, from everything that I find within my Patreon, which is through the Forager's Daughter Patreon. I have really enjoyed working with that. I've talked about that just about every month for the past few months. I get what she puts together, I cut it up, I paste it throughout, I find a ritual, I put it in here, I use the journal prompts. Another thing that I've been doing lately is, this comes as an inspiration from watching Dawn Michelle. She had mentioned in one video how she was just including everything in one journal. So her rituals, everything. And I thought, why don't I do that? Why do I keep things separate? So this month was really kind of like a headway into playing with that concept. So any special, I kind of started it back in November, but I really pushed into it in December. So any new classes or any like ritual or ceremony type thing. So this was a 45-minute yin yoga, and it tied in with the new moon. So I went ahead and included my flow that I had created for that particular class here. And that's through an app called Tumi. So if you are a yoga teacher or yoga inspired, you can find a bunch of flows on there. And again, I'll include the link below. The Sagittarius temperance type tarot spread that was also included from the Patreon of the Forager's Daughter is here. And this is the card reading that I got. I'm not going to flip in there, I'm not going to show you that. But also this was in my general classes, not special classes, but just general classes. I kind of took this as my inspiration, but inspiration is just really like, that's my inspiration, and when I get there, it's always kind of different. I can never manage to do the same flow over and over again. It's just not something that I have ever been able to do. I go in and I get a feel for the room, and I get a feel from, the overall energy, and then I kind of take it from there. So there may be certain poses within my class that I do make sure to include because they're important for the overall energy of the day or the Moon series. I'm sorry for my voice, guys. It's still a little weird. So I pulled out the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle, and my plan was to kind of work with this deck a lot this month because, you know, Yule, right? But I got this card, and I had already been doing some work with the whole idea of the poinsettia, and where is that? When I pulled the Yule Oracle, one of the card that I came up with was the poinsettia, and I was a little disturbed that there wasn't a little bit more research done within the meaning of the card. And at that point, I put the deck away. I was like, I don't want to work with this anymore. It was just like a turn off immediately. And you know, I really had a good time working with the Seasons of the Witch for, oh my goodness, the one that just recently came out, not in bulk, but I can't even remember right now. Oh my goodness. However, this is, I think, one of the first ones or the second one that came out within that series. And I don't know, I guess maybe I had stronger expectations when I saw the poinsettia card come out, especially being that I had just done all this research on it and the meaning and, you know, what they've done to the plant and how it came to be. And it was just a little surface level for me. So I just couldn't work with it anymore. But then I got into another ritual that I'm not even going to get into here because this is a Mesoamerican type ritual, but it even gets into how the piñata came to be and how when the Spaniards came over, how they got the ideas of what the indigenous were doing, and then they kind of transferred it and what the piñata represents here, and it kind of represents the 7 sins. So again, I'm not going to get into the whole thing here because it might be more than anybody might really want to hear, but it was very interesting to me. So now we entered into a new trecena, and again, I did a bunch of work within, well, not a bunch, I kind of calmed it down from the last trecena, but I did go ahead and do some research and type things up and put them in here. And again, I came back to my Circle of Doors Tarot because I absolutely love it. And this was just something that I was working with and really kind of making like a lesson on, in a sense. And then we got into winter solstice. And this was a whole other thing for me where I really got into this. And then, of course, for winter solstice, I always do something special within my classes. So there's always a deeper meditation, a deeper theme throughout my class. And so I also went ahead and created my flow, my inspirational flow for winter solstice, and included that in here as well, because every time that there was some type of day that came up that corresponded to the wheel of the year or within the Mesoamerican calendar, even though my students may not have been aware of it, I talked about the general concepts and the themes within my classes. And so it, for me, has been part of my overall ritual. On the mat, part of my ritual, even while I'm teaching, because that's my deal. I want people to move through their body to access these energies and release through their bodies. And if I can help them with that through meditation, through thought, through words, through actions within their body, then that's what I want to do. That's my whole deal. So why wouldn't I include it in my journal? So long story short, you're going to see a lot more of that in 2024. This is something that has always been a part of my life growing up. I mean, not that I really participated in many of them, but my aunt always had them. And they're referred to as La Posadas. And it's a reenactment of Mary and Joseph for 12 days, finding a place to have the baby and have the baby Jesus. So I included that. This is a picture that is by Diego Rivera. And so I included a lot of writing here within like the meanings and what, you know, the representations, and created like a little journaling practice here. And this is my altar for that time as well. And it was a really deep month when it came to my journal. This is the full moon in Cancer. And again, a lot of this is from the Patreon of the Forager's Daughter, which I just love, because when it comes to astrology, Western astrology, I am a baby. Like seriously, I really don't know what I'm doing. Between her page and then also, let me grab this book, The Stars Within You, A Modern Guide to Astrology. It's kind of like my, let me take you by the hand, Annette, and let me guide you through this so that you can understand how you're working through this or what you're doing, and maybe try to figure it out a little bit more. I don't foresee myself getting really like, I don't know. I don't see myself like teaching Western astrology or really getting into it, but I like that guiding hand between the book and the Patreon. I think that is a perfect dose for me when it comes to Western astrology. I think that's enough, because I really love my Mayan astrology. And quite honestly, the energies of the day pretty much always align with whatever is going on within the explanation of that moon phase within the Western astrology. So that's why I became a little bit more interested and try to integrate both within my classes during those time. This is my tarot spread from the Forager's Daughter and the decks that I worked with during that time. Again, I'm not going to show you all of that. I also got in the Slow Tarot, and I'll discuss that a little bit with you a little bit more. And this was some other just journaling that I was inspired to work with. Again, right at the end of the month, we moved into a new trecena, so I did a special card pool just for that and kind of working with that energy. And then I got into the overall meaning of that. And then here I found this thing talking about the 9 New Year traditions that are that Mexicans celebrate. So I went ahead and included that in the journal. And then this is just going to be for my reflections for 2023. I left that open for now, but I will be looking back at all my journals and pulling in some of the highlights and some of the things that happened and some of the points of transmission within that time. Okay, so let me get into the decks that I used. So for the new moon, I've been using Ancestral Magic Divination Kit. And this deck, no, this wasn't new moon. Nope, it wasn't. This was another, just, I wanted an ancestral connection. That's what this was out. And this deck has been very, very powerful for me when it comes to ancestral work, because, and I think I messed this up here, because this deck is not so much like asking your ancestors to guide you in a sense. It's more of like, how do I work with your energy, and how do I work with your kinds of magic or your type of magic? How can I work with that to kind of guide me through? And I have just been loving it. Now, another ancestral deck that I work with a lot is this one right here. And this is the Crystal Skull Tarot by Jessie Driscoll, and the book is by Rachel Pollack. So that was one of my initial draws to this particular deck. But I only pulled it out really for ancestral work, because for me, crystal skulls are just this beautiful way of having that communication with your ancestors. But my goodness, you guys, these decks work beautifully together. They had such a wonderful and clear voice that was coming to me. I love the way that they look. I love the way that they read. It was an amazing pairing. I know that this deck is still available if you are interested. It is on Etsy, I believe, but this worked so well. So if you like the whole energy of working with crystal skulls, this may be something you might be interested in if you're interested in ancestral work, because these two are just like this beautiful coming together of energy when it came to working with my ancestral connections, which I thought was fantastic. I just was so excited. So as I said, I worked with so many decks this month, and I can't I can't put all of those decks into one video, because we would just never be done. The video would go forever and ever. We just can't have that. So like I said, I'm just sharing with you some of my favorite pairings for the month, and this one just really stood out to me. I loved the way that these two work together. This was the new moon pairing, and I believe it was the new moon in Cancer, but the overall energy from that particular moon just felt like an unleashing of your creative power. And so the Serpentine Fire Tarot is always one that has that Kundalini, the Goyopa energy. Goyopa is the Mesoamerican name for Kundalini. So, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to pair it up with the Sacred Creators, because that's what it's all about. It's all about creation and getting a clear vision for what you are trying to bring to life, or what you are visioning that, or what you need more clarification on. And the Serpent Fire carries that same fiery, beautiful, creative, Kundalini type of energy. And so these two I really loved. And look at Stevie Nicks. I just love Stevie Nicks. Which one? This is off of which one? The Belladonna, I think, album cover. Anyhow, yeah, look at these two together, guys. Cozy Up with Risk, King of Wands, Ten of Swords. I don't know, there was something about the overall, the spark. Look at this, see right here, the spark of hustle. The words on this deck are really creative. They're really inspiring, especially when you're trying to put to light something that you've been toying with and maybe just need that extra little spark. And how do I bring this to fruition? This combination just really worked well for me. I don't think that I had put these together yet, but boy, it was a really great and inspiring combination with these two. Full moon came around, and the full moon, I had already been working with this deck. This is When Olga Speaks, and this deck, this deck, I paired it up with the Guided Hand Tarot. You know, it's called When Olga Speaks, and I did want to say this on another video when I mentioned this, and somebody in the comments mentioned kind of like it's pretty much a loud deck. And from the first time that I started working with When Olga Speaks, I wanted to almost say, Olga is yelling. Like she's yelling in a very caring way, but I don't know if you're familiar with Latina moms, but they're not subtle. And this deck isn't subtle in any way, shape, or form. So I paired it up with the Guided Hand Tarot. Overall, energy-wise, as far as the pictures are concerned, I thought that they were very fitting. They're both this collage style, but also, to me, the Guided Hand has a lot of those like 60s, 70s type vibes. And then When Olga Speaks is taken from I believe it was Time magazines from the 60s and the 70s, a lot of these pictures. So it just felt very natural to me, and it was such a clear and easy read. This doesn't have a guidebook. And you know what, I should have said right at the beginning, this is not in print at the moment. So we, within the tarot community, we are all hoping that Sasha Lopez will go ahead and bring this back, whether it's just on make plain cards or she finishes the guidebook and brings it back to Kickstarter. Either way, I'm in it. Where are you going with this, Sasha? Because a lot of people want to know. And I have found this to be such a beautiful, beautiful deck. I love the images, her words, her key phrases. It is a wonderful deck. I don't need a guidebook, but I would imagine that when she does write her guidebook, that it's going to be fantastic. But I love the overall scheme, the inner altar. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, he's there with these young children, and he's bringing them, he's showing them, and then you have the tower. Oh my goodness, it's just, this is such a beautiful combo. Look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. King of Wands, Surrender, and Ace of Swords. It is, oh, this one, I love this one. See, I'm getting all crazy again. But I just love the way this deck speaks. And then the Guided Hand Tarot has always been, since it's come into my collection, it's really been one of those decks that is a deck that I can pair up very easily with a lot of different styles of decks, but I think that this combination works so well together. I was so happy when I paired them up because I paired it up with quite a few other decks, but this one really seemed to stand out. With Doors Tarot, I mean, I put this up against all kinds of other oracle decks, and it is so versatile. It has a really beautiful voice. So it seems like it's kind of like this chameleon of decks to me. Like I can bring it up against the Death Doula. I can bring it up against like something like this, like the Modern Mary. I can pair it up with When Olga Speaks. And I'm just going to show you real quick with When Olga Speaks. It's a beautifully way of speaking with these. But seriously, I've put it up with quite a few decks. I put it up with, oh my gosh, so many within my collection. I think if you saw my journal, there's just a few there that I paired it up with. But I really loved, I guess maybe when I was doing this work, I really loved this particular combination because the Modern Mary, I don't know, it just has this very joyful voice. And this one, again, I'm so sorry, this is out of print, I believe. I think that the creator was moving on from these decks. I don't know if she's going to bring something else similar to it or not. If there is still a listing for it on Etsy, I will place it within the description box. But the last conversation that I had with the creator was probably about a year ago. She had told me that she was going to be moving away from these decks. So I don't know if they're still available or not. But when I paired it up with the Modern Mary, it just had like, see right here, like this innocence, this visionary. And I just really loved the way that the Circle of Doors kind of conforms and helps anything that you're working alongside it come to life. And it allows that deck to kind of speak and has this really great conversation. It's like that person that can step into a party with all these different types of people and have a conversation with everybody without anybody feeling out of place. That's what the Circle of Doors feels like to me. But I really did like this conversation that they were having. These two were just really, really great. But like I said, the Circle of Doors, my goodness, that is just an amazing deck. Okay, this was a really neat combination for me. So this is the Goddess of Love Tarot, and I paired it up with the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck. This one had a really powerful voice. So if you need that strong voice, like how do I work with this energy? How do I transmute this energy forward? Where do I go with this? How do I bring it to life? This combination, when it comes to like this interpersonal dialogue, I think is beautiful. I love the way that the images, you've got that collage kind of look thing going on as well. I came to the determination in 2023 that I love collage decks. I don't like them, I love them. And I keep talking myself out of more collage decks because I have quite a few within my collection already, but yet I'm looking at more because I just love them. Look at how good these are together. Look at these. Okay, I have one more combo for you guys. So this is the Slow Tarot, which is new to my collection. I got this in pretty close to the end of the month, and I did have time to work with it. There was another deck that I got in at the end of the month, but I really didn't have time to work with it in December. So I'm sure you'll see that in January's. But this is the Roses, Dust, and Ashes. And this is the deck that I purchased, my first La Panthiere Studios deck, that I just fell in love with. I fell in love with the quality, and yeah, it's a little light. I think it's what, 37 cards, I believe. It's a little light. The other La Panthiere decks are, you know, they're a little bigger. But as I continue to work with the deck, I just fell in love with how attentive, one, La Panthiere Studios is, and then the quality of the cards. And I kept looking into them for some reason. La Panthiere, I was looking at Sylvia Nig, I was looking at anybody that was associated with La Panthiere, and I really love what they're doing there. So from that, I kind of went on a splurge, and I pretty much have all their decks except for the Erica's Lenormand, because I really don't work with Lenormand, but I am so tempted to get that deck because I love it. Anyhow, the Slow Tarot is a deck that I held off on for a long time because there was a couple of images that really triggered me. It wasn't so much a trigger, just made me feel very uncomfortable. And so I held off for a long time, and then at one point I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get that deck regardless, because see, like this right here, the cup suit, oh my goodness, it is so beautiful. And even throughout the rest of the suits, there are these beautiful florals scattered throughout. Like here, look at, even in the wands, I mean, there's no florals here. They have, the wands are on fire as the birds are carrying them. I know, it's just beautiful. But see, here's coins, and you still have florals down here. It's just a beautiful deck. So anyhow, when I saw that it was available for pre-order, I went ahead and ordered the deck. I ordered it, I'd say probably in the beginning of December. I got it pretty close to the end, but it still gave me enough time to work with it. Now, because it had those cards that were challenging for me, oh, just so that you know, there are 2 world cards within this deck, and I left them both in because I couldn't decide. I loved them both. But because there's those 2 cards, 2 or 3 cards that are really, really challenging for me within this deck, I sat with this deck for a few days and just kept shuffling it, you know, pulling cards, looking at the guidebook, and I got a real understanding for the deck itself. And so I thought, okay, we're ready. Let's go ahead and do this. So let's work together now that we've kind of had a feel for one another. And I kid you not, this is one. The first 2 full readings that I had with this deck included the 2 cards that challenged me the most. See, this is the Other World card. And this is one of them, Temptation, which is the devil. And as I worked through that reading, using this little guidebook, which doesn't look like much, but it's enough. The words here are not used over and over again. They're very direct and very concise within the guidebook. And I really enjoy that about this deck. And then using it alongside Roses, Dust, and Ashes really brought, this is very, it has these really muted colors, but it's a vibrant deck, like there's a lot of life within it. And then this kind of grounded it. And I really loved the way that they worked together. They were just beautiful, but getting through these cards, and it's like the deck is like, you know what? Let's not play around in it. Let's just deal with what's bugging you. So that way we can work together and you won't put me away thinking that you still have those cards that are confrontational to you or that bother you. I mean, look at these. Their aces are, oh, they're beautiful. I wanted to like put some stronger language in here, but I'm holding it off, guys. I'm holding back. It's a beautiful deck. Let me see if I can, because I'm coming to the end here and I haven't found it yet, but I will tell you that the card, unless I missed, oh, there it is right there. 10 of Swords. That 10 of Swords really bothered me. The amount of finality within the image, it bothered me like really bad. And as I read through my particular reading, it made me pause. This one in particular really made me pause and really made me come back to the idea that the 10 is the completion. Like that is the end of it. Like you've worked through all these emotions when it comes to this certain thought or certain feelings that you're experiencing. And there's nowhere to go from here. Like this is it. This case is closed, kind of a deal. She's not getting up from that, you know? So she's gonna have to move on one way or the other from this point, because this is the end of that. She's in the kitchen and these birds have flown in, and this is me just kind of going in a little bit deeper into the images, but working with the guidebook and then working with this, like to me, I'm always in the freaking kitchen, like all the time. So if something happened to me within the kitchen, like that is like a close. That's like, this door is shut. There's no more. There's no more, because for me, that's like the heart of it. I don't know. It really just all made sense to me. But I love the muted yet vibrant images. It's a very lively deck without being too loud. I've really fallen for this deck, and I do love it up against the Roses, Dust, and Ashes. I just think it has a beautiful voice together, and I can see where this deck or this combo is really going to teach me something. It's really going to help me work through things. So those were the combos that I really wanted to share with you that really made an impact within my pairings. And I think, you know, if you guys been watching me, you'll know that pairings are, I keep doing this today, pairings are extremely important for me. I love working with a tarot and an oracle deck together. So that's it, guys. That is my December 2023 monthly wrap-up. I'm sorry if that went a little bit longer than it should have gone, but I had to pare it down because I would have been here forever. I would have been here forever talking to you guys about all the pairings and all the decks that I used within the month of December. So you guys, I just want to say thank you for being here with me throughout December. I appreciate you all so very much, and I wish you a beautiful 2024. I will come back with another video as to what I'm looking at for 2024. So thank you so much for being here. From my heart to yours, I will see you later.